Welcome back to The Spirit of Creating and part 3 of the series of Uncovering Your Creative Confidence. The journal guide that accompanies the series is available through the link provided. And in today's episode, we're talking quitting using negative motivation. Motivation is seen as a positive word and something we all want. We want to feel motivated so that we can do what we need to get done. But as adults, we could have cultivated a habit of using a negative form of motivation to move us. It still causes us to act, but it does so from a place of fear and not being good enough. And a lot of the time, without us even being aware of it, we have been using negative self-talk as a form of motivation, acting as though we would turn into sloths that do nothing all day but eat, watch TV and lie around if we didn't berate ourselves into some kind of action. And I have a personal experience of this because it was my tool of motivating choice for decades. And really, I thought it was working for me until I reached a level of burnout, because how long can negativity be a positive force? It can't. It really can't. Never. It's the difference between running for pleasure and for the health benefits to running because you're being chased by a stranger. You know, both times you're running, but you're running for very different reasons and they're going to feel totally different to you. And the way I used the system was to tell myself all manner of things, nothing good, ranging from you're way behind everyone else, so you need to hurry up. You've got so much lost time to make up for. You are not as talented as everyone else around you. You're not as qualified as everyone else around you. You're self-taught, so your work's not the real thing. You're an imposter who doesn't know what she's doing. You need to prove yourself to other people and gain their approval before you can approve of yourself. So that was the soundtrack to my day, and that was where I moved myself to act from. And yes, I got things done. No, it didn't feel so good. And yes, I ran out of steam in the end because it's not sustainable. Because you cannot hate yourself to love. You cannot berate yourself to create in a productive and inspiring manner. It just doesn't work. And it's definitely not a long-term plan. What it does do is deplete your creative resources. And it also stops you wanting to make anything in the first place. So if your self-talk is telling you that your art is not good enough and probably never will be, then what would even be the point in starting? And if you've been brave enough to start, even with that negative background hum, then there's little to no chance that you're going to want to share it with the world. Because if you decide to, that is going to bring another onslaught of judgmental thinking. And we mistakenly think that because we're lacking in confidence, that we're not creating art the way we want to or think we're capable of. But it's not a lack of confidence at all. It's a focus on this negative banter that's playing out in your head, that's doing a brilliant job of just covering up the confidence that you already have within you. Imagine for a moment that, a child is learning to walk and we're looking on, and as the observers, we're just jeering them, saying they'll never do it. Look how they keep falling. They've been trying for a while and they're still not showing signs of progress. We just don't know why they don't just give up. They're useless at this walking thing. We would never do that to anyone, but we freely do this exact same thing to ourselves all of the time. And it doesn't even feel absurd or unnatural to us. In fact, it feels totally comfortable and normal. And we've made the self-deprecating talk absolutely fine, but we actually find it awkward and uncomfortable to think and talk to ourselves with any amount of kindness and compassion. And that's a glitch in the system. If berating yourself to attain something is more familiar to you than guiding yourself through kindness, if we were to take a leaf out of a business model and use a cost-benefit analysis of kindness, we would find that it's way more effective and super supportive. So in terms of business, everyone talks about cost-benefit analysis, and we estimate the projected costs and whether these benefits match up. Basically, are they cost-effective? if we were to do the same thing as a radical act of looking at our art through the prism of kindness, what would happen? I mean, for a start, what does that even look like to you? How absurd, or does it seem unrealistic to view your art through kindness? I'm not saying this in a way where you lack any awareness of any areas that may need improvement. But what I want you to do is start focusing, using wisdom and anything that could be constructive to you. So, example, you could say to yourself, the work looks crap, it's never going to be as good as others. Otherwise, you could actually say, I really like the way I use color in my art. I can see that sometimes the way I position elements within my pieces doesn't always come across effectively. I'm happy to explore and experiment with that. Both of those statements can be describing the exact same piece of work, but have such differing emotional energy to them and really different sentiments. With the first of, oh, it's kind of, there's no room for confidence because it's deleted from the offset. With the latter, confidence has space to exist and grow, and that's the aim of the game. The cost-benefit analysis of a critical negative perspective, as seen in the first statement, doesn't only just leave you feeling bad, but it also stops any possibility for growth and improvement because there's no incentive. Why do we want to continue working on something when the criticism is so harsh from the offset? There's no benefit to it. Because all it does is halt creativity in its tracks, and it robs you of the desire to continue. Whereas with the latter perspective, not only is there an instant benefit by looking at what is working, which is an incentive to continue, but also the objective statements leaves room for further development of skill and is alluring because you want to experiment and explore. So it's a win-win. You feel confident about your art, where it is, and you look with confidence at your abilities, knowing that they can be developed and you have the capacity within yourself to accomplish it. So if your art and creativity was being run through a cost-benefit analysis, then kindness is a no-brainer and it wins every time. So why don't we just start there? So let's journal on this. Be totally honest. This is only for you to see, no one else is going to have a look at it. When we are going about our daily lives, we rarely take time out to investigate what thoughts are driving our actions. As adults, we do a lot of things on autopilot and we don't take time out to review our motivating factors. So I want you to ask yourself, what has been your guiding force? What have you been using as a motivator? Is it kindness and compassion, or has it been judgment and berating? Be honest with yourself. What does using kindness to view your art mean to you? What would you tell yourself about your art through the lens of kindness? And using that prism of kindness, how does it make you feel? What does the creative process look like with kindness as the guiding force? And what actions does it encourage you to take? Take your time, think about your responses and reflect on them so that you know what your guiding force is. It doesn't matter if it's negative right now. It's just becoming aware of where it's coming from. So I'll be back again next week with the next part in the series, which takes a look at being able to make new choices. If you have any questions about this episode or wish to share some of your findings from the journal prompts, then feel free to message me on Instagram, or you can email me at illustratingrain@gmail.com, and I'll be back again next week.